back to Cram Course, the totally not rip-off show that is not related in any way to any other YouTube channels. It's me, Claire Baker, and this is Cram Course World History on a special casual Wednesday and music nerd edition. Welcome back. Today's topic is the age of revolutions. Cool. So, all of this enlightenment jazz we talked about in the last video caused lower classes to think about what their government should do for them. This led to revolts in numerous countries. Today, we are going to cover revolutions in France, but mostly France. Let's begin with the French Revolution. In one run-on sentence, the French Revolution was the crazy beheading guillotine, let them eat cake, which didn't really happen. I'm more radical than you. Our king sucks, so let's replace him with a dictator. Yay, we hate Austrians. Of revolutions. If you didn't catch all of that juicy detail in one very long run-on sentence, let me break it down for you. But first, we need to set the scene. French absolute leaders Louis XIV and Louis XV put France into debt due to the cost of the War of Spanish Succession, the 7 Years' War, and the American Revolution. In fact, war debt was 50% of government spending. What made this problem even worse was that the monarchy only taxed the peasants and didn't tax church members and nobility. The one who ended up taking over this disaster was Louis XVI, who came into the power in 1754 as a 19-year-old. He himself was going to be a bad leader anyway, but on top of all of the debt, it was catastrophic. I mean, what else do you expect from a 19-year-old? Sneaking in late, rebellious phases, punk rock shirts. Sorry, wrong time period. This is the 1750s, not the 1990s. Still, he ended up making people blame the crown for their problems. I could blame him for Stacey's inability to grow taller than 5'1".
I'm going to strangle you.
Not if you can't reach me.
You've sunk low enough for me to reach.
Or I could just pin that on genetics. Sorry, Stacey, your dream may come true someday. Or you could just be an awesome short person, like Napoleon, who we talk about later in the episode. Stacey, where were we?
People blamed the crown for their problems.
Right. Back. He also married Maria Antoinette for political reasons with Austria, who at the time was a large enemy of France. Her name was changed to Marie in French. Those French always changing everything. The fact that Marie was from Austria was only the beginning of the citizens' unrest with Marie. Further, she didn't produce an heir for 7 years into their marriage. Now, to be fair, this wasn't really all her fault. Louis had phimosis, which made the process of producing an heir very painful for him, but we won't go into the details of why, as that is not PG. Also, don't look it up online. So much regret. Miss Baker, don't you mean Louis? Diggity darn, you got me there. Finally, Louis got the surgery that would fix this, and they had 4 children together. However, the public was too far gone with political posters, the whole shebang. This was a large factor in their decreased faith towards Louis, and especially Marie, since she was a foreigner.
Claire, note that that's not... Stop being such a music nerd!
Stacey, now's not the time to talk about our problems.
Music nerds for the win!
It's time to talk about other people's problems, which is why history is great. So, also, to make things even worse, there was a food drought. Basically, we have no food for the third estate, at least. 50% of the population relied on government-supplied food stamps, and 25% were unemployed. Nevertheless, Marie Antoinette threw extravagant parties and galas, which definitely peeved the third estate even more. Man, why were they so dumb?
Why are you being so passive-aggressive in this episode?
Stacey, this is the French Revolution. It practically screams passive-aggressive. Well, just plain aggressive. You may be wondering about why these so-called estates are. So, basically, France was set up in a estate system. The first estate was the top of the top, made up of the clergy, which were nuns and priests, paid no direct taxes, but could voluntarily pay 2% of their salary. The second estate was nobility. They held the top jobs in government and army, and since their jobs were given by the king, they also paid no taxes. Now we come to the third estate, which included the bourgeoisie, middle class, and the peasants. You had 99 problems, and taxes were one if you were part of this estate. They paid almost all of the country's taxes and couldn't afford food a lot of the time because, it was, as I said, expensive. Expensive.
Explain the bourgeoisie, Claire.
All right, they were the top 9% of peasants, like bakers, merchants, lawyers, doctors, journalists, and professors, stuff like that.
You mean bakers?
I said that.
You said
Okay. There was also something called the Great Fear of 1759. This was when rumors spread throughout the Third Estate that the First and Second Estate were trying to overthrow them, basically cut them out of France in general. This was yet another cause of revolution and unrest. Going even further, due to bad harvests, food was expensive as the new iPhones. Basically, bread was unaffordable, and bread was, basically everything to the peasants because, that used to be pretty much all they could afford. Stacy, cue the bread montage. You can make bagels with that stuff. Man, the peasants didn't really have anything going for them, and I understand the whole we need a revolution thing because the government was muy bad. So, peasants set fires to stores and stole grain from nobles. The only logical way to get grain, of course. Now for an open letter to Jack. Yeah, no, that's not my part.
To Jackie Necker.
Now for an open letter to Jack Necker. But first, let's see what random object would get thrown at me today. Oh, your fire notice. Stacey, how could you? I thought we were friends.
It's a joke. Get over it.
Fine. So, Jack Necker, you were King Louis XVI's financial advisor. Good for you for trying to get the king to tax the First and Second Estate. I mean, why should the poor be the only ones funding the country? To quote John Green, there are two things certain in life, death and taxes. So if the First and Second Estate don't have to pay those taxes, then the only thing they can count on is death. And I get the feeling that they weren't really looking forward to that. Anyways, I deeply regret this nobility pressuring Louis into firing you, Monsieur Necker. You sure had something going there. They even called you the People's Man. What a neck.
The Estates General was a group with representatives from each estate. All three had equal votes, even though peasants were 97% of the population. Kind of like the Senate in the US, except they didn't have a House of Reps to balance it out. Too bad for them. Talk about problems. Well, speaking of the Estates General, in May 1789, Louis XVI called the Estates General together for the first time in years to ask for more money to pay for war.
Did you just call him Louis again?
Stacy, I don't need your sass right now. Now,
No, she didn't.
my friends, it is time for the French Revolution.
What have we been doing this whole time?
In 1789, the Third Estate got kicked out of the Estates General.